Well, hello everyone, and thank you all so much for being here today for our webinar on motivating middle school and high school readers over the summer. We would like to start by thanking the Navy Child and Youth Programs for making today's webinar possible. Thank you for taking our initial poll. It looks like we've got parents and often we have professionals, and we appreciate all of you being here today. We do always welcome professionals who work with military connected children to all of our parent trainings, and I know you'll find the information and tips we present useful. Please note that our MSEC parent support webinars have been designed with parents as the target audience. Before we introduce ourselves, we wanted to share with you a bit more about MSEC and its mission. The Military Child Education Coalition, or MSEC, is a nonprofit organization established over 25 years ago. MSEC's mission is to support all military-connected children by educating, advocating, and collaborating to resolve education challenges associated with the military lifestyle. In 2005, MSEC formalized support and programming for military-connected parents so they may be empowered, informed, and proactive in supporting their children's educational journey. We strive to deliver informative and interactive webinars that address academic, social, and emotional issues associated with the military family lifestyle. Our vision is for every military-connected child to be college, work, and life ready. My name is Emily Barton. I have been with MSEC since 2018 as a parent educator. I'm part of the webinar team, and I'm also the community coordinator for San Antonio, Texas. My family and I moved to San Antonio last summer. My husband is active duty Air Force and has been in for 25 years. We've moved around a lot. So we PCSed last summer from Montgomery, Alabama to San Antonio, and we are really enjoying it here. We do have two military connected children. Our daughter is 21 years old and she is a rising senior in college. And our son is 19 and he is a rising sophomore in college. And now I'd love to pass it over to my coworker and friend, Mariella.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mariela River. I am also a parent educator with MSEC. I've been working for this wonderful organization since probably 2014 at different capacities. I'm part of the MSEC en Español team where we do bilingual or webinars in Spanish. I am very excited for this webinar because my husband is active duty Army. We are currently in Washington State stationed at JBLM, and we have 3 teens. So this webinar, I love this webinar because it is for teens and is about reading, and it's quite important for us at this moment. So my oldest is a junior in high school, and then I have a rising freshman of high school this coming year, and I have a 13-year-old. And so thank you so much for joining us, and we're gonna start, and we're gonna add the resources again in one moment for you to download, and let's start. Okay. Some of the admin announcements that we always do at the beginning is just to let you know that at the end of the webinar, we will invite you to take a survey about today's presentation. We want to know how we did and also let our funders know how we're doing. Your feedback is really important to us, and because we want to continue to improve and offer the very best training opportunities possible for you, the military connected parents, as well as professionals that we serve. And this survey will only take you about 2 to 3 minutes to respond. And you will see the chat box as well. And please feel free to ask any questions during this webinar and share any ideas or comments regarding the topic at any time. Um, you should see, if you don't, oh, there we go. Thank you, Emily. She just uploaded again the PDF file in your chat box called downloadable resources, and this contains the links to resources and information relating to today's webinar. Please know that if you are joining us on your phone, you will not be able to download these resources, but if you private messages, we will be very happy to email you this resource. These webinars, you can see, is being recorded. Please note that you can always view the recording later if you want to review the material or experience any technical difficulties during the presentation. You can always go back to the recording. Okay, so let's move on. Today's learning objectives are to understand the importance of reading during the middle and high school years, even in the summer. To recognize how reading habits are changing, right? This is a new generation, and we would like to address that as well. Another objective is to apply. We want us, but at the end of this webinar, we can apply some ideas to help inspire teenagers to read in this digital world, especially during this summer break. And finally, our goal is that we are all able to implement best practices to help our teenagers with school summer reading assignments in some of the cases. Okay, I would like to ask you a question, and hopefully you can share with us your answer on the chat box. What book do you remember reading when you were a child that fascinated you or made you think about something or make you wonder new things? Please share your responses in the chat. And I think I want to put Emily in the spot right now. Oh, I see some answers. Black Beauty. There we go.
That's a great one.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Kathy and Emily.
Yes.
Do you have any book? I'm going to put you in the spot that you remember.
Oh, so many. I really always loved reading. During middle and high school, and now I love reading. When I was younger, middle school age, I
Mm-hmm.
loved all of the Judy Blume books and the Babysitter Club series. That was
Of
always
course.
a favorite, yes. But then in high school, I also really enjoyed a lot of the required reading books for various English classes. I loved William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury, Barbara Kingsolver's The Bean Trees. Those were some really wonderful books that made me think. And I liked those authors so much that I would
Mhm.
continue reading other books by them. So those were great. Oh, I see some others in the chat box. Catcher in the Rye,
Uh-huh.
that's a great one. The Story of Ferdinand, yes,
Oh, sweetest story ever.
absolutely.
Course.
I love it.
Yes. And I have to say, I was always a big fan of the Percy Jackson stories. Oh my God, that really took me to another level of imagination. And of
Yes,
course, as an adult, when I saw some of the movies, I was like, that's not exactly how I imagine it, but
right.
but definitely reading is wow. Thank you for sharing your answers. Okay, great. So let's move on to what are the benefits of reading? Well, science has shown that reading has great health benefits like helping with depression, improving sleep quality, and reducing stress. Keeping your brain active through reading has even been linked to longevity, which I like that idea. I was like, oh, that's good. So when we read, we're not only improving memory and empathy, but also end up feeling better and more positive. And here's just a brief list of other benefits that you can also see on the screen. So reading helps kids deepen their knowledge of themselves, their beliefs, values, and dreams. It also allows kids to slip into the lives of others, gaining insights into other people and developing their sense of compassion and empathy. Reading helps kids learn or think about moral and social issues. It can aid students in finding solutions to the problems or questions, develops imagination and nurtures creativity. And those are some of of some of the most important benefits. But reading also entertains, we know it relaxes. But for our youth, it's also a way to learn to face challenges, right? Think about it. We are military connected families, we're military families, and we move frequently. We know that on average every 2 to 3 years. And every time we move, we know that all of us and our children have to leave the places that they are familiar with and start all over again. So, reading about a similar situation actually could help our children realize how other teens um, are approaching similar challenges and how they deal with the ambiguity and unpredictability. So, it is especially important in some in that moments of transition, right? Maybe to read for our children how other kids are doing or what is happening in their lives as well through reading. Okay, so now we're going to move into some more specific benefits. And here's Emily.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So, there are a lot of academic benefits to reading. Reading helps our children develop critical and logical thinking skills. It increases fluency and comprehension. Reading also builds vocabulary. Research has shown a connection between a child's vocabulary size and how well they comprehend what they read. A good vocabulary will not only help them in high school and on assessments like the SAT and ACT, but also later in their career. You need a strong vocabulary. Reading can also lead to higher test scores in language arts and other subjects, and also on the ACT and SAT tests because the students are comprehending the questions better. Researchers have also found that students who choose to read for pleasure have performed better in English, math, science, and history. Reading helps with writing and grammar and spelling. And then reading over the summer also helps prevent learning loss. That summer slide refers to the loss of reading skills and math skills over those summer months. And so reading during the summer can help prevent that. Reading can also help our military connected students who are moving to a new duty station during the summer break keep up with their reading skills so that they are ready when school begins. Another benefit to reading is improved focus and concentration. And then reading also helps give students confidence when they're speaking. When they are good readers, they are able to speak better to others. All right. So if you are the parent of a middle schooler or high schooler, then you are the parent of a Gen Z or Gen Alpha child. The Pew Research Center and the Library of Congress describe the age group of Gen Z as anyone born roughly between 1997 and 2012. Then after Gen Z comes Gen Alpha, which is that generation born roughly from 2011, 2012 to now. So I have to like really think through that when I'm thinking about children and their generations. Both of my children are in Gen Z. So that these generations are certainly not an exact science with exact dates. However, the Gen Z and Gen Alpha refer to our first true digital native generations. Children and young adults who fall into these categories have lived their lives fully connected digitally and are usually very digitally savvy, probably more so than my generation. They are growing up during a time of global access to streaming content and social media. This can be a positive asset for our military students because they're able to stay connected to a parent who is gone. They're able to stay connected to extended family in another state or another country, or friends who have lived at previous duty stations. So that can be really wonderful. Understanding some of the characteristics of these generations can help you better understand your adolescents' worldviews, their interests, and their preferable ways of learning. So parents can then reevaluate the way they're supporting their students' learning by understanding characteristics of these generations. So let's take a look at the reading habits of Gen X, or excuse me, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Over the past decade, there has been a steady decline in reading for pleasure. Despite the ease of access to books, people today are reading less compared to previous generations. According to Statista, the average daily time spent reading by people in the United States is in the year 2023 amounted to 0.26 hours or 15.6 minutes, so not very long. According to the study, adults over the age of 75 were the most avid readers, spending over 45 minutes reading each day. Meanwhile, those between the ages of 15 and 19 years old read for less than 9 minutes per day on average. So, less than 9 minutes a day. Less than 20% of teens report reading for pleasure, compared with 80% who say they use social media every day. Elementary age children between the ages of 5 and 11 typically have sustained silent reading or SSR in their classrooms during school as part of their day. This practice often ends during middle and high school as their focus turns towards things online, social media, websites, and video games. So you can see on this slide some additional statistics. This is data from the Common Sense Media Survey, which compared tweens ages 8 to 12 and teenagers. The tweens are represented by that fuchsia pink bar, and the teens are represented with the green bar. So you can see that in each of these categories, there is a decline from the tween age to the teenagers. In each of these categories, that reading decreases as the children get older. So for that first category, reading for fun, 33% of tweens read for fun at least once a week, but only 24% of teens read for fun at least once a week. Then you can see there are 34% of tweens are daily readers versus only 21% of teens. 18% of teens say they never read for pleasure. So these are some pretty interesting statistics. And now Mariella is going to talk to us about some of the reasons that this could be the case. Mariella?
Thank you, Emily. And I think those statistics are quite eye openers for all of us,
Yes.
even though we have,
Yes.
in my case, I have teens and I can see that those them, preferring to do something online than getting a book. But let's talk about reading habits, the challenges, right? Reading for pleasure during the teenage years has become increasingly challenging, as you mentioned it in some of the statistics, Emily. But what are some of the possible reasons for that, right? Well, teens, as part of their generations, their lives have become increasingly digital. Our teenagers use an average of 7.5 hours of entertainment screen media per day. Imagine that in comparison with what you said, that they read, like 20% of them read, right? But here's like about 15 minutes we mentioned. 15 minutes compared with 7 hours. That's a lot. Let's just think about it. Books are now competing with the compelling lure of social media, video games, screen time, and schoolwork for teens time. In many cases, students also start having less time as they get older because of schoolwork, or because of projects or sports and other extracurricular activities and clubs or other commitments. And during the high school years, students are often required to do volunteer hours. In some cases, they also begin to work, especially summer jobs, right? Some of them start doing some lifeguard or going working in a fast food restaurant, babysitting, mowing lawns, etc. So that keeps them very busy during the summer. So we have another question for you, and we love your participation in the chat. We love to read your answers. What are some of the changes in reading habits you have noticed in your children from elementary to middle school or middle school to high school? We love to read some of your challenges. We'll give you a few seconds. But in the meantime, um, I would love to share. In my case, I totally can see the difference between the elementary age to middle school is being progressively changing towards less reading just books. Um, I know in elementary, remember, if you remember, right, your children had to have a log, like reading log, 30 minutes every day, 30 minutes every day. And that was it was strongly encouraged and pushed by the teachers because that's the time where kids learn to read. And then middle school, I could see that difference. Okay, we were reading at night, but then maybe, or in my case, they got a cell phone at the age of 14. So that was definitely a change in that. So there are quite a few changes. For example, for military families, when we have, maybe you have a teenager that is a wonderful reader and he loves to do it. But remember, we as military families, we often move during the summer, and that every move interrupts our family routines. This also could mean that our military connected team have to interrupt their daily routines and readjust. So if you have a teenager or a teenager is already into specific series of books and has set his routine to enjoy his reading, and then he must move, then his routine must change or is most likely to change. This situation can cause frustration and a lack of motivation to get back to his reading. We will discuss some of these ideas later to help adolescents overcome some of these challenges. But we as military families, we face that. Even if you're in your house and you have a routine of as an adult, oh, I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to do my yoga 3 times, and then we move, those routines change. We have to readjust. Okay, so let's move on to reading motivation. What can motivate a teen to read? Well, every person uh, needs a reason to read, and teens mainly do it for 2 reasons. Number one, because they must, because it's part of their schoolwork. Uh, we know that they have to complete an assignment, or unless they are in summer school or have a summer assignment, um, this one just goes away over the summer break, right? Um, Number two, well, another uh, reason is because they want to read. Maybe because it is actually for pleasure or curiosity about a particular subject or theme. Maybe they're very interested into science and STEM or computer science or coding, and they will get excited about reading. Another reason is because maybe they just want to escape from everyday life to forget about uh, their own issues at the moment, and it's just a way to distract and use their imagination. So if we think about it, reading can make us laugh, let us use our creativity, or teach us something new. So those are some of the reasons, and hopefully our teens start getting some hobbies or trying to explore something new, and they will say, "Oh, let me read about this." But we want to explore with you what are some of the options that we can use to motivate our middle schoolers and high schoolers to read over the summer. So, what can we do? Um, what strategies can we use to motivate reading? Well, I don't know if you wonder, but sometimes I do. Like, how long should my teenager read per day? Well, the truth is that there's no magic number. Overall, the more students read, especially when they have more time, like over the summer, the better. We want to avoid getting your child into the habit of checking the clock every few seconds to see if they're required reading time or if the reading time is over. I remember that in elementary school. Okay, are my 30 minutes done? How many more? So we don't want that for our teenagers either. So reading can include reading for pleasure, as we mentioned before. It could be like reading a recipe. Maybe they want to try to cook during the summer. And it doesn't include texting, right? Reading doesn't include the texting. So what can we do? Here's some strategies. First, well, read daily. Make reading part of the day. We all know our child or our children best. So it doesn't really have to be all at once. You have to read 1 hour. You have to, no, 5 or 10 minutes here, 5 or 10 minutes there. Everything will add up. We can also make it a family affair. For example, everyone reads on Sunday night for 20 minutes, or even better, um, make reading part of your bedtime routine, just like we used to do it when they were in preschool, for example, or elementary as well. Another thing is it's important to let them choose, right? One way to get kids to enjoy reading is to let them choose what they want to read. Um, while you may cringe at their preferences, they might never uh, touch a title if we force them to do it, right? If you do not know where to start, or you can also ask a teacher or a librarian or check online, like Scholastic or Common Sense Media. And those are great websites for reading recommendations for teens. Mm, I think one of our favorite websites is Common Sense Media that we have already quoted before, or that's part of our references in some of these slides. Uh, we love it because it offers information from books and movies and games and apps. They evaluate books and provide a general overview along with a recommended age for each title. This tool is very helpful for parents who aren't familiar with a book or are looking for ideas to pique their students' interest. So it is always very very useful to see, okay, is this appropriate? Is this good for this age? So we are going to add those. Thank you. Emily's helping us with the chat, adding all these resources. Okay. It is very important to choose the right books. And how do we do it? So now we're going to talk about how can we make sure the book is right for our teens. So Scholastic reports that 4 in 10 kids, which is 42%, agree to having trouble finding books they like. This is far higher at 59% among infrequent readers. And so it's not only important that kids read about subjects they are interested in, but also that they pick books that are just right. So the question, what does that mean? What is a right book? A just right book is a book your child can read almost perfectly without help. Your child should be able to read at least 95% or more of the words correctly for a book to be considered a just right book. Uh, Books that are too easy can make reading time probably boring, while those that are way too difficult can bring frustration, and your student might skip parts and fail to understand what's happening. And I was sharing this with Emily before, even for adults. Somebody recommended a book to me, it was wonderful about teenagers' brain, etc. But I gotta be honest, it was too difficult for me because it was using a lot of scientific language. So by page three, I was like, I'm not sure exactly what I am understanding. Of course, I was interested, so I was doing my research, but it caused a little frustration. So imagine for your team, if they start reading something that, okay, this is a little too difficult. They're like, oh, no, thank you. They might lose interest. So um, let's here's some questions on the slide that you can see. These questions are by Reading Rockets that we can teach our kids as well to choose the right books, right? So we can tell, hey, let's see, think about it. Do you like this book? Do you know most of the words? Do I know most of the words? When I read aloud, does it sound smooth or choppy or slowed? Is this book hard to understand by myself? um I did have the thing with my daughter. We went to a sale on the library. They were giving books. She loved the topic, she loved the design, but when I saw the book, I was like, oh, okay, this is like college level, and she's only 14, but she was so sure she was gonna read that. And next thing you know, yes, like 10 pages later, she's like, no, I don't think this book is for me. So it is very important to help them choose the right book. A different suggestion is to try nonfiction books for those curious about space, for example, or coding, or photography, or traveling, or anime, sports, biographies. I mean, there's so many topics. So let's introduce them to books you that they want to see, but also it's very nice to introduce them to books that we used to love when we were their age, for example. Um, you can check comprehension when your child reads aloud and ask them to reread when needed. So I know some of, especially the older teens, are like, I don't know if I want to read aloud to you, Mama. Let me just see if this book is right for you. Another suggestion is to ask the current teacher before the school uh, goes to summer break some book suggestions. Um, Ask also about your child's reading level, even if they're in middle school, high school, that, help us find the right book for them. So when we can match the just right book for your child with a book that they are interested with, the topic they are interested in, we totally can nurture their love of books and reading. Um, Now we're going to share with you more suggestions on how we can inspire reading in our children, especially now over the summer months. And Emily is going to help us with that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I wanted to point out, I put another link in your chat box for the best book series for tweens, and that link should work properly. I just checked it. So hopefully that works well. Good. Okay. So we do have another poll question that we'd like to ask all of you. And the question asks, does your family read out loud together or read aloud together? And I'd love for you to respond to that poll, or you can use the chat box, either way. So I'll give you a minute to answer. Does your family read aloud together? When your kids were little,
Mhm.
yes, I agree. I think that that is common. And it's funny because when my children were in middle school, I remember going to visit some family, and they highly suggested to continue reading out loud with my middle school children. And I hadn't really thought to do that. And so we actually started reading out loud together as a family again when my daughter was in eighth grade and my son was in sixth grade. So it is important to try and keep that up. But I know it's not very common. Once your children are a little bit older, we get busy and perhaps we stop reading out loud together. So thank you for taking that poll. So many parents do think that as soon as their children learn how to read independently, they no longer need to be read to by a parent. Research suggests that it's not until eighth grade that our students' reading level catches up to their listening level. Until that time, most students are capable of hearing, understanding, and enjoying material that is actually more complicated than what they can read by themselves. Reading out loud can increase a child's vocabulary, often adding more rich and advanced language that is not heard in everyday conversation. When reading aloud, children can share their thoughts, ask questions, they can relate what they're reading to real life situations, or connect the book to their own life experiences. So, for example, when a family moves to a new duty station, it can be an excellent opportunity to read books together or get information about the new location or new cultures if you're moving overseas. And it's great to do that together. Another idea is to have your middle or high school child read a book to a younger child or sibling. If they have a younger sibling, let them take over reading at bedtime once a week. They may find the younger child's enthusiasm for stories is contagious. An older sibling can also pass along their love of reading to younger children. And I love, Kathy, that you wrote that it would be interesting to read a play, and each family member has to play a certain part or role. I love that. I think that is a fantastic idea. We have had a one person in one of our in-person workshops share that in her family, they will pick a story together, and then everyone takes turns reading a different chapter out loud. This can allow kids of all ages to participate as well as all the family members, and it helps build that quality family time, which can be really wonderful. Here are some more strategies to motivate reading. First, visit the library together. This is a great opportunity to take advantage of over the summer. Many libraries have summer reading programs, and these are programs my children always loved. These summer reading programs often include contests or prizes awarded to those who read a certain number of books or a certain number of pages. So make sure to check out your local library and also look into if you live on a military installation or close to one, the base or on post libraries also typically have reading programs. And Mariella has put a link to United Through Reading. We also have a summer reading program. It's the I Read program link. And so we'll put that in your chat box as well. So that's something to look into. So, going to the library together is a really wonderful opportunity to share some quality time. And everyone, both parents and children, are able to choose books. It's also important for us as parents to model our own love of reading. According to Scholastic's Kid and Family Reading Report, frequent readers are more likely to be surrounded by other people who they perceive to enjoy reading. 82% say a lot or nearly everyone they know enjoy reading, versus those infrequent readers who say only 34% of people they know enjoy reading. So it's very important for us as parents or teachers to model our own love of reading. We do recommend that you continue to model reading throughout your children's school years. Middle and high schoolers will still follow your reading habits. Let them see you reading and making comments about books and sharing exciting passages with your teenagers. You may even want to read some of the young adult books yourself. You can also have book discussions with your children and teens. You can choose the same book as your teen or your child, and each of you has a copy, and then read alongside each other. You can read a chapter each week and then discuss it together. This idea can be especially helpful during deployments or times of family separation. Military connected teenagers can read the same book with their deployed parent and then schedule occasional video calls together to talk about the book. This activity will help students build their reading comprehension skills and strengthen that important parent child relationship. You can also look into United Through Reading. This is a wonderful organization which connects military families who are separated, whether that's for deployments or other military assignments. And United Through Reading allows that bonding experience of shared times of reading. They have a wonderful free and secure reading app that the deployed parent can utilize. So make sure to check that out, and the link to that is in your chat box. Other strategies to motivate reading: have books available at home. Make sure that your children always have access to books or ebooks or other different formats of reading, like magazines. Books can be expensive, but be sure to check out yard sales for books. Often I see them available at yard sales or thrift stores, or you could maybe even start a book exchange between your child's friends so that they can share books. Also, consider the classics. Books are called classics because they continue to engage readers generation after generation. And I know one person had put Black Beauty, that they loved to read Black Beauty as a child. And that is one of those classics that engaged all of us when we were younger, and maybe even our parents' generation. And hopefully we can pass that on to our children. So there are no guarantees that your children will love classics, but you could try introducing your kids to books that you loved as a child and see which ones stick. Some good ones to try are the Narnia books, like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Percy Jackson books that Mariella mentioned, maybe even The Secret Garden. That might be another good classic to try. You can also suggest different genres of books. Kids go through different phases of genres that they are passionate about. Some may love animals, some may be interested in science fiction or fantasy. It's important for us as parents to try not to get hung up on whether it's considered great literature, although some genre books are, but rather just be happy that your children or teens are devouring books one after the other. That's what we really want. Once teenagers find an author that they love, they may want to read all of that author's books. This is a great excuse for another trip to the library or an opportunity for more book swapping among your child's friends and classmates. If they do like a particular author or style, look for additional books along that line. So here are a few options that you might want to consider. I know that my son really loved the Gary Paulson books. He wrote Hatchet, so you can look for other books by Gary Paulson. There's also Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote all of the Sherlock Holmes books. So if your child is interested in mysteries, or being a sleuth, they might be interested in those books. And then James Patterson has written many books like Maximum Ride or When We Were Lost. So those are some good ones to try. Finding a good series is also great, as the readers can follow the characters throughout the books. They already know which one that they want to read next. Examples include those Rick Riordan books, the Percy Jackson series, the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter books, or maybe even Dan Greenberg's The Zack Files, or Nancy Springer, who wrote Enola Holmes. That's also a great movie. So that's a good series for your middle or high school students to check out. We're also going to put another link in your chat box. Thank you, Mariella, to the Library of Congress book list for teens, and that may have some good suggestions that you'd like to check out. All right, and I'm going to pass it over to Mariella for a few more suggestions.
Thank you, Emily. Now we're going to talk a little bit about more unconventional strategies, right? So if your child or you have a favorite movie or series, what about we read the book first? If possible, when the family have a family night, if you have it, then you can watch the film together once your child read the book, right? I remember we watched Anne with an E. I don't know if you have watched it. It's on Netflix. It's a fantastic series. But my kids were very excited because they read the books before the book before. So we can ask our child, so who do you think should be, should play the part of the main character in the movie, right? Once they read the book, you can make a nice conversation about it. What parts of the story would you include in the movie? Because they will know that if it's going to be a movie, they they can't put everything, right? Uh, you can ask them, how would you change the book if you were the writer? So those are things that we can have conversations. We're using media and we're engaging them with books. Magazines are another suggestion, another idea. You can consider subscribing to a magazine or checking out the library magazines that interest your kid. Newspapers, for example, that cover topics that interest them are also a possibility to encourage reading. And it might also be an opportunity to discuss social and moral issues that might come up when reading about current events. Um, of course, many of these can also be found online, right? Online magazines, online newspapers, etc. We can also think outside the box, just like Kathy mentioned in her suggestion about reading a play and everybody takes a role. But another thing is like we can play games that utilize reading, right? Like crossword puzzles provide very good opportunities for learning new words and spelling and practice as well. Um, what about have them find a recipe online or in a cookbook? Most board games incorporate reading in their play. So as you can see, these ideas are unconventional. It's not like a formal reading, sit and read a book, but they are reading, right? Instead of you reading the instructions for the new board game, have them read them for you. Another suggestion, what it could be changing up their reading space. We can go outside now that the weather is nicer. Well, in my case, I don't know, in very 100 degrees. I don't know about you, Emily, but get a nice shade. If you are in a place where you can use a hammock or get a comfy place on the deck, a nice lemonade, and just change the scenery for reading. Um, so it's important to understand that if your child is struggling or bored with a book, don't make them finish it. Forcing them to stick with a difficult or dull book intended for pleasure will reinforce the idea that reading is a chore. I understand that when it's reading assignment for school, well, they must finish it. But if we're trying to encourage reading for pleasure during the summer, and this is a book that they are not into it or not engaged, don't force them. Give them options. Oh, let's choose another one. No, don't worry. Right. So, what about leveraging technology? Well, many of us are used to a book in our hands. I love that feeling. But our children are very used to reading online. Um, and well, reading online also counts, whether it's articles or topics that interest them or some assignments. Well, it counts. Research suggests that we use different parts of the brain when reading from a piece of paper versus a screen. Reading from a screen is called non-linear reading, uh, a practice that involves skimming a screen, having your eyes dart around a web page, or sometimes getting distracted by pop-ups. So you reap most of the benefits of learning from engaging in deep reading, which is linear reading. So by linear reading, this is how children learn to read from the beginning. So that's when they open a book and start at the top and read down. It involves multiple senses like touching, feeling, and seeing the book. But it also um, has shown to increase retention and comprehension. So even though both readings count, it's important to encourage both, right? Not only online, but obviously linear reading or with a book. Um, so each one of them, these two types of reading have their own benefits. So linear reading on paper allows for that deep reading, while reading not linear online is good for them to quickly skim through articles and kind of like, okay, what's important, to locate resources or to read books for leisure. So both have benefits. Connect reading to your teens' use of technology. It is very important. So as we discussed, the younger generation is very much digital. So download books on a tablet or an electronic reader. That's very useful for them. The electronic format has proved to be especially engaging for boys and reluctant readers. Plus, this is a great way to take even multiple books on vacation without all the extra weight. Local libraries and on post or base libraries offer free downloads. So for those books, so you don't have to pay extra. So be sure your family is taking advantage of these benefits. It's a good opportunity to go get your library card and download the library app. Um, there is also an app. It's called the Libby app, where you can borrow free ebooks, digital audiobooks, and magazines from any of your local library. We're going to thank you. Emily just added in the chat the MWR Digital Library's website that you can go check. So you can also consider audiobooks because they can spark kids' interest in reading more about a topic. Public libraries offer a vast number of audiobooks. If you are heading out on vacation or back and forth from school or activities, have them listen to a novel that will appeal to them. Audiobooks can be a great option while military families travel to see extended family or PCS. One time, a military spouse told us that her oldest son is now attending college in New York. Um, so the rest of the family is stationed in South Carolina. And she mentioned that one of her favorite family activities is having her other three sons listen to a book while they drive to visit her son. So let's just it's just a matter of finding opportunities to do those things. Some more ideas to leverage technology is incorporate writing, whether via regular mail or email. You can encourage your military children to keep in touch with distant friends or relatives, keeping a personal journal or maybe even journaling about special events will have them practice reading, right? Or if you're doing a road trip or you're PCSing and you are actually doing a road trip, journaling is a great idea as well. An incentive for some students would be to publish a book review. When a student finishes a book, encourage them to write it up for a family newsletter or for a school newspaper, a magazine, or website. They could also try posting reviews at a local bookseller or an online retailer. And talking about these unconventional motivations or things that we can incorporate with technology, we want to share with you a video um, with the intention to just show you what is out there for your teens. This is going to show you how some vloggers express their point of view, the language they use, and what's important to them while sharing recommendations on reading. And maybe you have a child that loves to do videos and blogging, and maybe it's a good opportunity for them to do something like this. So we'll just play.
Hi guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming a book recommendations video. If someone told me at the beginning of this year that I was going to be filming and posting a book video on my YouTube channel, I would not believe them for 1 second. And let me just elaborate. I feel like I never really enjoyed reading growing up. Like, I love the Pinkalicious books. Those were bomb. But I didn't read for pleasure. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way, pick up a book and be like, all right, let's read. So this new hobby of mine, it came out of nowhere. It was so unexpected, but I freaking love it. I will admit, I've become a bookworm. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in August, how I feel about them, do I recommend them or not. If you can see, this top shelf are 15 books. I read all of them in August. There aren't going to be any spoilers in this video. I'm just gonna give you guys a quick synopsis of the books just to see if you're interested in them. You know, I obviously don't want to tell you what happens in the book, like too much of it. I want you guys to see if you're interested and see if you want the book yourself. I will say right now though, I genuinely enjoyed all of them. There were definitely some that I gave only 4 out of 5 stars, but there were also some that I gave 5 out of 5, so I'm gonna let you guys know. But I truly enjoyed them all, so there weren't any books that were like, oh no, don't get this. Just to let you know before we get started, most of them are romance novels. Romance is definitely my favorite genre, but then there are also some like murder mysteries which are very interesting too. But I just wanted to let you guys know a good amount of them in this video are romance. Alright, so if you are a reader or if you're not, I hope you guys enjoy this video, me sitting down with y'all and chatting.
All right. We just wanted to show you what's out there that you can use. So I just want to leave you with this reflection question for yourself. Do you think your teen would read a book recommended by teen bloggers over your book's recommendation? Or do you think they will listen to more, right? All right. We're just going to leave in the chat another good resource, good read books recommendations for young adults in the chat, and we'll move on with Emily about the summer reading.
All right. So we did mention earlier that one of the reasons why teenagers read is because they have to. It's a required part of their schoolwork. Many children in this age group are assigned books for summer reading before they return in the fall. Middle and high school students, therefore, may have to read content that they're not interested in, but it is their required reading. So, here are a few ideas that you can use to help your teen with reading assignments over the summer, especially if your student may struggle with this or doesn't want to do the assigned reading. So, first, you can actually read with your teen, especially your younger teen. You can read one page and then your child reads the next one. Then talk about the content and ask questions to make sure that they are comprehending the topic. Use context and reread passages if necessary. You can also listen to your teen read. It helps some children if they have an audience or explain what they have just read, like a teach back session. Have them read out loud, this or having them read out loud also helps give you insight into where they're having trouble, if they're having trouble. An essential strategy for improving middle and high school reading comprehension is making connections between their personal lives and the material that they read. That boring reading assignment might suddenly become very interesting when children find that they can relate to what they're reading or understand how things affect them personally. You can also divide the reading assignment into manageable sections. Not everything has to be completed immediately. You can space it out. Also, try to limit those distractions. Put the phones away, turn off the computer while they're reading. You might also want to encourage them to take notes as they go along. This engages another section of their brain and makes reading more interesting, and the material tends to stick better. You can also take a short break during reading to ward off any frustration. Getting some fresh air or taking just half an hour to play a game can do wonders to get them re energized afterwards. So, as we wrap up our webinar today, we'd like to emphasize that we do live in a time where teenagers' reading habits have changed. But what has not changed is the importance of the parent's role in encouraging and fostering the love of reading and learning. We hope that we've given you some good tips and strategies and ways that you can put in place motivation for your middle and high school reader over the summer. So we appreciate you all being here. This was a great webinar. It's always so fun for Mariella and I to do this topic. We love it. We would like to take a moment to have you take the survey for today's webinar. You can do that by using that QR code or clicking the link that's in your chat box. Once you have opened up the survey, click on webinar survey, and then you'll type in the 4-digit webinar number, which is 5925. Then hit submit. We do use this tool to make ongoing improvements to our webinar series, as well as add new topics of interest and provide feedback to our funders. So we'd appreciate you taking the couple minutes it requires to take this survey. We'd also love for you to check out School Quest. This is an online interactive tool that was specially designed to support highly mobile military families and students. It has a variety of resources and tips to help students achieve academic success and well-being. It is free, and so we'd love for you to sign up for this today. If you have any questions, concerns, or educational related issues for your military connected children, please feel free to reach out to our military student consultants or MSCs. They are the premier source to help you with any questions that you have. And to contact them, you can reach out to msc@militarychild.org. We also have our wonderful Military Child Wellbeing Toolkit, which was developed for parents, school professionals, behavioral and mental health professionals, as well as community leaders. This tool is full of resources for all aspects of the military connected child's well-being. We'd love for you to take a look at it on our website, and you can access it through that QR code or the link that's in your chat box. If you have missed one of our previous webinars, or if you'd like to watch one again or would like to share this session, the recordings can be found on our website at militarychild.org. And you can also use that link that's in your chat box. We are also very excited to announce our in Espanol webinars that are presented specifically for our Spanish speaking military community. Please join Mariella and Yasmina on the last Thursday of each month for these special webinar presentations that are funded by HEB. As with the rest of our webinars, they do begin at noon Eastern Time. And the next one is on May 29th on empowering military connected children, building self-advocacy skills. And Mariella has put the registration link to this en Espanol webinar in your chat box. If you are interested in getting a certificate of completion, please complete that online survey and reach out to research@militarychild.org. We'd also love to invite you to attend our upcoming webinars. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, May 21st, we'll be presenting readiness and life skills for kindergarten and elementary school students. And then next Wednesday, May 28th, we'll present exploring school transition supports for military families. These webinars do begin at noon Eastern Time, and the registration links for both of those are in your chat box. We'd like to give a very special thanks to the Navy Child and Youth Programs for making today's webinar possible. And we'd really like to thank all of you for taking the time and attending this workshop so that you can better support our incredible military connected children. Thank you all so much for being here, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.